Your life. Thank you, Sutton. Good evening. Will you please join me for the invocation, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the blessings you have given us. We thank you for providing us the opportunity to serve the citizens of Elkins. We ask that you guide us in our decision-making as we strive to help our community grow. We also ask that you watch over and guide our country's leaders, and we also pray for peace in the world. In Jesus' name, I pray, amen. I now call the meeting of the Elkins Common Council to order, and will ask our clerk to please call roll.
Councilor Ross Fraganera. Here. Councilor Chenoweth.
Here.
Councilor Kwanzo is absent. Councilor Friddle.
Here.
Councilor Guy.
Present.
Councilor Higgins.
Here.
Councilor Hinchman.
Here.
Councilor Lowther, absent. Councilor Parker.
Here.
Councilor Vest.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We have a couple agenda adjustments, which we will address later in our agenda here. And now we're down to public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment tonight? Ms. Higgins, how are you this evening?
Great, how are you?
Fantastic, thank you.
Good. Thank you. My name is Madeline Higgins. I live at 639 Capitol Street. And I am here regarding item E, Resolution 1500. I'm also a commissioner of the Elkins Historic Landmarks Commission. I just wanted to tonight express that the Darden House is an important structure of the downtown. And I feel that the continued collaboration with City of Elkins and the Elkins Historic Landmarks Commission in relation to the landmarks efforts has been important and continues to be important. So I want to thank you for your continued support and continued efforts as we move forward. I also want to express interest in the Darden House. Its preservation can really support the downtown as a historic structure, no matter how it's used. But I do think it's important that moving forward we find a way to use it more often for public. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here for public comment? How are you, Sheriff? Good, thank you.
Members of council, Mayor, Chief Bennett, Chief Himes, I'm happy to be here this evening to address you guys. I want to basically talk about item D on your new business resolution 1499. I approached your chief about your vehicles, your spare vehicles, and asked that you consider maybe selling those vehicles to us. We've had a rough way with the sheriff's office. We totaled 3 in 6 weeks, 2 because of deer strikes, and which actually wiped the vehicles out, and 1 from a traffic crash, responding to a warrant execution when a guy had been fleeing. So our dog and our trainer was en route, and so we could catch the fellow this time, and that didn't work out so good for us. We also then, my captain had a deer strike and had $13,000 damage to his 2019 vehicle. So we're in backups and backups of backups at this point. So I saw those vehicles sitting out here and thought maybe we could buy those at a reasonable price, and I appreciate your consideration with those vehicles if it's something that you guys can work out to help us out. I've got 6 vehicles ordered. We tried the lease like you guys did. That fell through. The lease company canceled our order, so they couldn't fill it after they were ordered 3 months. So we went the route to order. We're told we would have 4 Explorer Pursuit package vehicles in January, and on that date I called and said, hey, how's our production going? He said, well, just got backed up to late March. And so I found one on a lot in Summersville, a new one, and bought it, and they're outfitting it now, but we're in dire need of vehicles, and I appreciate y'all's consideration on that. And while I'm here, I just want to say one thing, or a couple things. Your mayor's fantastic. I've worked with him since his first day in office. Actually, probably before he took office, after he was elected, we met and talked, have similar ideas and vision for our county and our city. And he's a class act, and I look forward to working with him every day. Chief Bennett, top notch, has helped me. I've helped him. We work together to fight the problems we have today in this city, in this county. We have to work collectively as a group and as one unit, basically, to get this job done and to take care of the things to protect our citizens of this county and this city. Top notch. I look over, I go to a car wreck, which I like to do, and your fire chief says, you don't have to do this anymore. I say, you're right, but I like it, and I get to see the guys I've known my whole career and worked with, top notch folks, and I just want to praise them and let you guys know you've got some great people in your top spots, and if you need me, Dave Parker, I learned that bearded guy right there can do about anything if you ask him. He'll tackle it. He's on the mayor's task force with me, top-notch fella, and we just, when we want something done, we poke at Dave and he goes after it. So just want you guys to know that. I know I'll probably take more than 5 minutes, but your folks need recognized, and I just want you all to know that they're class acts. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Is there anyone else here for public comment tonight? If not, we'll move down to the minutes. I'm looking for a motion to accept the minutes from the February 17th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under your correspondence and notifications, you have the issued building permits, the treasurer's report, and the events. And now we have a presentation from Elkins Park and Recreation Director, Tom Tessar.
Thank you, everybody, for having me in. Good evening. It's been a while, about 2 years, I think, since I've been here. And I made a goof. I thought I was the only presenter tonight, so I've got way too many slides. I'm going to try to go fast. I'm usually long-winded. I apologize, but I will try to watch the time and give fair time to everybody else and get you guys home. Our new logo. Told you I was moving fast. You've probably heard about this already. I think you announced it at the last city council meeting or the one before. This was a huge gift that we got, and it was out of the blue. Got contacted in the fall of this year from a bank down in Berkeley County, said that there's an estate gift to Elkins Parks and Recreation. They didn't talk about an amount. I was like, okay, that happens from time to time. I filled out the paperwork and the tax forms and all that, mailed it back. Then a check arrived, $845,000. And again, just what can you say? I mean, we're blown away by it. It changed the job. It will change the park. It will change the parks for the citizens of Elkins, which is the important part. It's unbelievable. I almost can't understate how big it is. It's huge. I think about it every day. It's the first thing I think about when I go to work. So I don't know a whole lot about this family, unfortunately. There was no backstory. I called down to the lawyers and the banker, and of course they met the man, but there's not a lot of detail. He kind of, I think, was a quiet person and didn't want a lot of fanfare. I'm going to give him a little bit anyway as best I can. Donald Morris Garmer. His connection to Elkins, I believe, was from his wife, Ora, who was born in Norton. They lived, he traveled around. He worked for one of the branches of the service as an engineer, and that's all I know. He spent most of his time around the Boston area, and then they retired to Elkins for a period of years, 1989 to 1996, and then they made it to Falling Waters, West Virginia. Ora passed away in 2012, and then Donald passed away in 2021. The will was written in 2012 when she passed away. So thank you to them, is what I can say. And I hope people keep them in mind when they come through City Park, because this money is going to do a lot of good for a lot of years, and there'll be a palpable difference. I mean, it will revolutionize City Park. what are we going to do with the money? And really the thesis of this presentation is, what are we going to do with the money? And this isn't the total answer, it's just some ideas that we have so far. Upgrading things. So everything has a lifespan, as you guys know, and it's always a balancing act of trying to get new things, then also have money in the budget to keep them up. So this helps a lot. It's a big shot in the arm to be able to catch things up. Some things that we were worried we wouldn't have been able to catch up without it. So it's very timely. Playground equipment just starting to degrade. That's normal. Vandalism doesn't help. That's the same slide. So those pictures are all in the same few square feet of space, and that's damage right there. And that's just one piece of equipment picked randomly. Swing sets that are missing swings. It's not that we ever exceed capacity. Maybe on a really nice day at City Park it gets close, but it's just not a good look, right? It's missing, so fix it. Things that wear out. So this isn't due to misuse or vandalism. It's just things wear out, right? The swings creak around, and the chains wear, the S-hooks wear, the seat swings wear out, and the metal comes through, and they need to be replaced. I don't know if anybody in here has priced commercial playground equipment, but it's expensive. It's really, really expensive. This is missing its harness. You can still use it safely, but if you're a small enough person, or if you're a person with disabilities, it helps to be harnessed in. New straps for those two swings is over $300. So I paid the $300 one time. Those new straps lasted about a month. And they get knotted. People don't know how to use the buckle, so they get knotted too tightly. The next person gets frustrated and takes a pocket knife and cuts them, and then the straps are done. So $300 for as much nylon as you could wrap around your waist 2 times. I'm like, no, we can't do that. I'm gonna upgrade to these swings. These are the ones that are at Glendale Park. They're much better accessibility swings. No nylon straps. You've got a little harness that comes down kind of like a roller coaster ride. There's one little rubber toggle down there, if I can get this thing to work. Doesn't show on the screen. There's one little rubber toggle there. It's the only part that can fail. And if you don't want to use it, it all flips out of the way and it's streamlined. So just a much better design. That's what we're going to go with. Just more examples of things that need replaced. I replaced that once. There's a bunch of caps on every post. That's the only one that keeps disappearing. And now it's gone. We used to find it on the ground. I would dutifully go and re-rivet it and repair it. And now it's finally gone. The biggest thing we probably need in the playground, this will have to do with safety and then also keeping it clean, because we have had some complaints about how it looks mildewy and muddy and all that. And we have tried to pressure wash it, but it doesn't last because it's just too much of a mud pit, right? City Park in general, we have some drainage problems in there. Our playground is no different. Everybody wants to go with wooden mulch because it's more cost effective, but it degrades really quickly. And our playground isn't much better than a lot. I'm not making an excuse for it, but if you go to other places and you look at a playground with wooden mulch fill, more often it looks like that and not, 4 inches of depth like you're supposed to have. So solution to that is to get some recycled tires, get some rubber mulch, but that's expensive. To do just City Park alone, be about $14,000. And that's also then renting a skid steer to get in there to cut all the old dirt out, haul it away to make room, because if you just put the mulch on top of that, it just escapes over the barriers, right? So you gotta cut it back down, fill it up, get a forklift to unload the semi. It comes in big 2,000-pound bags. So a neat project, a project that has to happen, but expensive. Damage to structures is sort of the next topic. This wooden beam's been brought up before. It's still hanging in there. It's a little more solid than actually what it looks because the piers are close enough together, but it's cantilevered. It's kind of like 2 diving boards sticking out instead of bridging and connecting. But that trim board underneath, as you can see in the picture on the left, it has not snapped. So it's hanging in there, but it's not optimal. Weak spot was in there when they drilled the hole for that connecting rod, right, that holds the 2 sides in, and it just cracked and split. So that needs repaired. The other section of roof there is probably from a limb strike, something breaking from above and landing on it. And really what we'd like to do is put a new roof on the large pavilion. Right? Go through there, tear all the shingles off. There's some missing shingles, by the way. Tear those off, replace any sheathing that we need to, and then put a metal roof on it, and then be done with it. We need some more space. So talking about the picture on the right-hand side, that's our equipment shed at City Park. That's all the indoor storage space for tools and equipment that we have. And it's just not big enough. We have to haul things there with trailer, use it, and then take it back to Glendale where we still don't have room in that garage. We have 3 pieces of equipment that the city is actually nice enough to let us put other areas. We've got a trailer at the Phil Gaynor Community Center, we've got a stump grinder at the sanitation garage, and we have a 60 horsepower tractor in the street department garage. So we're already borrowing space other places, and we need a bigger shop. The good news is this is a decent site. It's pretty muddy and the ground isn't super usable right next to there, and there's no trees that would have to be removed. So if we just went sideways and doubled the size of that building, or maybe 2.5 times, we would fit a building in there. And you can see it's got some structural issues too. Mostly trim there, the soffit and fascia is starting to fall apart. If you notice the vegetation crammed in there, that's the work of our friendly neighborhood squirrels. Structural problems that matter a little bit more. So this is the restroom building that was funded from Forest Festival and Mountain State Street Machines, what we call the newer restrooms or the large event restrooms close to Church Lane. It's starting to shift. I'm not sure if the floor is sinking or the wall's moving, one or the other or both, but they're not in harmony anymore. So the building itself isn't in structural trouble, but the dividers between the stalls are. So looking at the picture on the right, above that toilet paper dispenser, that's a pretty big gap. And that's the only support that that concrete block wall has in between the toilets. So if somebody were inclined, they could push on that thing and it could fall over, right? So we can't use the restroom building in the current state. We have some big metal brackets that we've purchased to anchor those temporarily and kind of pin them in so they can't fall over, but it needs a real repair. More damage at the restroom building. Door problems. Part of that's due to the building shifting and part of it's due to vandalism. People have taken pry bars to those metal frames and they sprung those, and once that happens it's really tough to get them back. You really can't. If you look carefully at the strike plate, you can see we've shimmed it out to try to get the deadbolt to reach. But again, that's a half measure and then that gets defeated and that thing gets broken into until you finally go in and put a hasp and a padlock on it. Right? And then somebody's got to be even more committed if they want to break into it. And then that picture on the right-hand side, each door, in order to keep them open, to make it easier to get in there for people with accessibilities, instead of a swinging door, there's those little wings. It's good for that purpose, but it's not great for some other purposes. It catches debris. If people want to hide out, they can, right? They hide in those little corners, especially at nighttime. And then they're falling apart. So the caps have worn out, water has gotten into those blocks, and then when it freezes, it starts to break pieces off. So it's unsightly. Not a safety hazard, but it doesn't look good. The water fountain, not too usable right now. So the valve at the top is broken, and the drain is clogged. Kids love to pick up the pea gravel and put it in the drain, and it is the perfect size to roll into the drain and clog up. It's not even draining down through the ground to the drain anymore. We've had to make little weep holes in the side because there's so many rocks in there that we can't get them out. So that thing really should be removed, and we'll put in something else like that more modern water fountain, so you could drink at various levels. Somebody with a wheelchair can roll up uninstructed, and there's a pet bowl at the bottom, which is one of the best upgrades, because I don't know if you've been around that water fountain, but people pick up their dogs and they hold it to the water fountain. Yeah, so just word to the wise, maybe avoid that water fountain. I'd rather be thirsty, but we need to change it and make it better, then we can use it. Again, crazy prices. That water fountain right there, $3,700. Everything's expensive. Again, things just aging. So this isn't vandalism or damage from misuse. It's just older. This is the gazebo that goes around the water fountain you just saw, and it was built in 1985. You can see the wooden piling starting to rot. Water gets back in there, freeze thaw, breaks the concrete. So pretty much every piling looks just like that. Basketball court, one of our best used features in City Park. Some of you guys have talked about actually adding a second court, which I agree with. We should do that, especially now that we can fund one. But the original court is starting to degrade. You can see it's delaminating. The various surfaces that have been built up over the years are peeling back. And so, one, it's a safety hazard. You're concentrating on the game, not where your feet are going, so you step wrong on uneven terrain, that's no good. And it's obviously no good when the ball hits an edge and takes a weird bounce. So even if we were just gonna keep one court, we need to repave it. Location for the next court, possibly in the horseshoe pit area. I need to talk to, if there's any stakeholders in Elkins that are left that still play horseshoes, I'd obviously have the conversation with them first, but it seems very little used. I remember in the Intermountain, maybe 7, 8 years ago, there was an article about the Horseshoe League and how it was sort of aging out. It was down to maybe 3 members at the time, and they were trying to get some younger people in and keep it alive. And to my knowledge, that didn't happen. I don't know that it's been significantly reestablished. And if it hasn't been, I would think about putting a basketball court there. One fun idea for the basketball courts, that first picture is actually from Nancy. This is popular, especially in urban revitalization projects. They'll go in and repaint the basketball court and kind of get the community to help and rally around. It's really neat. It's a great little Kickstarter project for a neighborhood. That one there is in the Blackburn neighborhood of Columbus, Ohio. And they added some lighting, some benches, and some paint. I was approached by an art teacher at the middle school who did a class project, and this is sort of a national thing that's catching on. So the middle school teacher knew about this on her own and did a class project, gave the kids pieces of paper shaped like a basketball court and said, hey, if you were able to do this, what would you design? And so we would like to incorporate student artwork and put that on at least one of our courts, if not 2, if we can get the second one built. And that picture on the right is just one example of what they turned in. But pretty neat. It looks, I think, it really dresses it up and looks a lot better than a plain basketball court. Add some art when you can. That's what used to be the tennis court, and we're going to paint. We've got one pickleball court painted on there already. We'd like to add 3. That's a sport that's been on and off since the 70s, and it's seen a resurgence. And there's really no downside to offering it because painting the small court is simple and the equipment doesn't cost very much. So even if this is sort of a fad that dies out again, no big deal. That court needs attention. It's got cracks. It needs to be sealed or filled first and then repaved over. And again, it's just older. I don't know when that court was built, but they've got a lifespan. And we're approaching the limit on that one. But it's worth saving. Right? If you don't act when you start to see cracks like that, you let it go another year, you let it go 5 years, your court's gone. More pavement stuff, so cracked pavement there on the sidewalk that goes along Church Lane. Tree roots just pushed it up, right? That's typical. We'd like to get that addressed. That picture on the right-hand side is the sidewalk on Park Street going into Buffalo, and you can see it ends. We only have sidewalks around 2 edges of City Park right now. And it would be really great to have sidewalk on the other 2 and make a complete square around it. That's not my idea. I can't take credit for that one. So Sam Severino, the former assistant director of Parks and Rec, that was his idea. And I agree with it. I think that would be really nice. As it is now, you've got to jump Buffalo Street to get on the sidewalk there, which isn't a big deal because Buffalo's not too busy. But then you'd have to cross Sycamore Street twice, right, to keep the loop around the park. And that is busy, especially when the college is in session. Fencing. We get a lot of trouble during the events with vehicles going off-road in the grass, which is tough. We struggle with the grass in there. Drainage issues, leaf issues, shade issues with all the canopy cover. Driving cars, or clay soil is another issue. Driving the cars and compacting that clay soil doesn't help. People are usually pretty good when they start coming in the park on those events. So vendors come in and set up booths. You're familiar, Augusta Festival, Forest Festival. Then they feel stuck, and then if they see it, they'll drive it. So they'll jump the curbs everywhere in there, right? There's just cars all over the place. One year we were trying to crack down on the cars, and we talked about, less vendor cars during the hours and make it a better event and less damage and blah, blah, blah. And I just walked around a little bit after lunchtime, and I had counted 47 cars. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So when we're trying really hard, we still have 47 cars. We need to get some fencing in there. The longer I'm at this job, and this is all our parks, not just City Park, if you really need to keep vehicles off the grass, you have to physically restrain them. You have to put fencing up, right? Put barricades up. Signs don't work. Pep talks don't work. In Other things wearing out, so this is in that new restroom building again, but the same pictures could be taken in the original restroom building attached to the large pavilion. We're using residential fixtures in some places to do commercial duty. Park restrooms have about the hardest life of any restroom. Like gas station restrooms are luckier because at least there's workers generally around. And we don't have an attendant in the park at all times. So depending on the day, the restroom could be open and unsupervised 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, and who knows what could happen, so damage happens. So any of those cantilever sinks, if you put weight on them, they pry off from the wall. Using faucets with plastic parts, they're gonna break. Using ceramic toilet bowls instead of stainless steel, they're gonna crack, right? So trying to upgrade to commercial stuff. Picnic tables. We're using homemade picnic tables now, which are cool, right? But they're heavy, and they've got to be moved at different times for events and people renting the pavilions. The heaviness works against them because they start to get drug or they get crab walk or two people are carrying it and it gets so heavy they drop it. And then the weight of the picnic table actually smashes itself up. It works the joints loose. So a solution is to go with a commercial steel frame. It's lighter, it's tougher, and then you can have some boards pre-cut and some hardware ready to go. If somebody vandalizes a board, breaks it, one rots, you can do a 5-minute fix instead of a longer fix that we're dealing with now. And that picnic table there is another example of vandalism. So it's not the prettiest table, it's got stain flaking off of it, but none of that wood is rotten. That end piece wasn't rotten. Somebody just broke it off. Controlling our electric supply. Right now we can't. We have circuit breaker covers that are something that you would have inside, but these are exterior. And again, we don't have security. We don't have somebody in the park at all times. You can lock those. I don't know if you've ever been to those circuit breaker boxes up close, but it's just real thin steel at the bottom. It's mostly meant to hold it shut. It's not secure. If you put a padlock on there, you can just hit it really hard, and that, again, the padlock, that leverage helps break the hasp, and you're all done, and the door's flopping open, and they've got access to your power. You can see there's if you look carefully on the picture on the left, there's a little black phone charger cube plugged in there. Right? That's how I found it when I was taking pictures. That's the norm. That's not a set-up picture. We went in to stop the flapping in the wind. We was like, okay, no more padlocks. And we retrofitted some hasps on there. That's actually another circuit breaker also in City Park, the close-up there. But that can be taken apart with a Leatherman, right? It's got exposed screws. I don't dare put a padlock on there because it'll just get smashed. If anything, we'll put a little bit of mechanics wire in there just to help keep it closed. But when somebody wants power, they have power. What we need to do is put a vandal-resistant shell over it. You see these sometimes in state parks or national parks, they've got a power distribution box. Think of sort of a squarish trash can that bolts down over the power. And then when you have an event, your park staff can unlock it and set the power. This panel, there's 4 of these along Church Lane. These are for the food truck vendors during the big events. And the electric systems in there, it's a little sketchy at this point. I'm not a professional electrician by any stretch, but I went in there with a professional electrician. And as soon as we took the cover off, he goes, whoa. I don't know their jargon, but I'm pretty sure that whoa wasn't good news. I don't think it was a compliment. Meanwhile, the vendors never complain. They're used to worse situations where they take their food trucks and set up. So they will go there and they'll figure it out and they'll just wire stuff up. Their trucks work, nothing catches fire, we move on to the next event. But we should do better than that. It needs to go through and all the things that have been changed over the years, we need to do it right, and kind of reset the clock. That's also not very secure. People can reach underneath those covers and access the power as well. Same problem with the circuit breaker boxes. Lighting. The biggest complaint, and this is a justifiable complaint, is the lack of lighting in City Park. Over time, they burn out, they've broken, we've lost electrical connections in some places, and we need to fix it. It's expensive to redo the lighting in City Park, not to the pavilions, but everything else. Everywhere we have a pole, there's a utility pole with a light, or a parking lot light, or one of the 15 lamp posts. To redo those is about $68,000, $69,000. Because it was done with direct burial at the time, which is starting to degrade, and that's aluminum, and then when you try to make a connection with the new stuff, it's underground, and even if you try really hard to seal it up, moisture will get in there, and you lose the connection again. So what needs to happen is from the center building, retrench everything, put conduit in the ground, pull brand new wire, do it right, do it once, be done with it, never have to touch it again. Right? But it's expensive. That is a pavilion light. That's just one at random. That's from the small pavilion. But you can see somebody, you can't quite see it, the picture's sort of small, but that conduit isn't connected to the junction anymore. Somebody's gone up there and pulled it out. And then the bulbs are always missing. People stand on the picnic tables and they take the bulbs or they smash them, or if they can't reach them, take a basketball and break it out. Why, I don't know. Poor Augusta, when they do picking in the park every Wednesday, they're used to taking their own light bulbs. They're expecting not to find the lights working, standing on picnic tables to screw and stuff so they can see their music and play. We can do better than that. What we need to do is get vandal-resistant fixtures in there, LED, leave them lit all the time. It will help the police department has been awesome, by the way, with increasing patrols and looking through the park. A lot of our problems have gone away. That's been great, so thank you. But we'd like to make it even easier for them by opening up sight lines and putting some light in there at night so that when you drive around the block, you can actually see, right? Less shadowy places to hide. We don't want people camping out and sleeping in there overnight. Sound system. Case can be made either way, but we need to do something about it. So right now we have the vestige of an old sound system that doesn't work. We either need to get rid of it or we need to rebuild it and hook it up to the city sound system in the downtown and build it the way that it was before. Tree issues, so dead trees that need to be removed, like the one on the left. Trees that have been aggressively pruned and trimmed for power line clearance. There's about 4 of them that just need to go. If you cut half the vegetation off, if you cut a tree in half lengthwise, you might as well just get rid of the tree. So we are going to get rid of those 4 trees. And then, as I think you've heard already from the tree board, they're piloting or leading a project to put in 30 new trees there. So where we're taking trees out, we're going to put trees back. We're even going to put in extra trees. Places where the trees were too tall and the power company line clearance crews hacked them, we'll put in something that's meant to grow shorter, so it won't get to the power lines and it doesn't have to be massacred. Top's starting to die out. A lot of tall, old, mature, deciduous trees in the park, and they have a lifespan. Urban trees can live a hard life, especially in City Park with all the moisture and the compaction and the clay, and the trees are starting to suffer. Also some storms, right? The trees after Superstorm Sandy, as you remember, right, for 2013, did some damage. We're still dealing with that. So various tops dying out, some bigger wood like the picture on the left, and some thinner stuff on the picture on the right. We're not going to get all those trees. There's way too many. I haven't counted all the trees in City Park, but way over 100. And they're big. It would be forever to go through and clean all the dead wood. So some of it's just going to be nature taking its course, and that stuff's going to come out. But around critical areas like the basketball courts and the playgrounds, we are going to try to go through and thin the crowns and get some of the dead wood out. Stumps. Of course, when you remove trees, you're left with stumps. You may have noticed a lot of stumps recently and higher ones. That's partly on accident, partly on purpose. So the accidental part is we have an ancient stump grinder. That thing's from 1985. Stump grinders that do really hard duty. That's ancient for a stump grinder. They don't even look like that anymore. But that's what we've got, and it still works to a fashion on a good day. The part that we did on purpose is any stump that we've cut recently over the last few years that we left it high. We were flush cutting them pretty low, but you still can't get them low enough to clear mower decks. And as grass grows, we mow so many acres you cannot, and our part-time help cannot remember where all the stumps are. You end up hitting them and doing damage to your mowers. So we're leaving them high to be visible, and then we'll finally go through with the stump grinder and then get them so they're not in trouble with the mowers. So I realize they're an eyesore for now, but they will be fixed ultimately. Leaves. The city helps us a lot with the leaf truck. They'll go around the outside loop of the park. They'll also come into the park on the main artery that goes from the gatehouse entrance across from the college to the large pavilion. But that still leaves a lot of territory. We've got a couple backpack blowers, and we've got some zero-turn mowers with mulching blades, and that's all we have. That's all the equipment we have. So I'd like to get something like a cyclone rake, some kind of pull-behind vacuum that we can get some leaves elsewhere, chops them up even finer, so it's more efficient to haul them away. The leaves don't take up so much volume. But get them to the edges of the park or get them to that central artery so the street department can come through and suck them up with the truck. Because right now it's a lot. Our assistant director, Jake, he did great work this fall. He cut the leaves in there probably 5 times. It is a dusty, long day, and we still have leaves, right? He did as good a job as could be done, but there's just still leaves, right? Every time there's a storm, more comes down. A lot of the trees in there are oaks. If you actually look in the background of that picture, you'll see some brown leaves. And then they get pushed out in the spring. So we have to deal with leaves in the spring as well when the city isn't running their leaf truck anymore, right? What do we do then? Drainage in the park. So there were 4, I think we found maps for this, there were 4 French drains that were put in. We need to try to find them and unclog them. I don't know if it's possible. We're in a low area. Right, we suffer just like the college does across the street with that front campus area, just like the Forest Service does with their sideline. But if we can get it drier in there, it would be better. Trash cans. I don't mind the look of the homemade trash cans, they're fine in the park, but squirrels get in there. Most of the litter problems that we have in the park aren't thoughtless people throwing stuff on the ground, it's the squirrels. They go in the trash can, and they won't eat the stuff in the trash can. They find something like they take it out, and then it blows in the wind. So we will go through and do a clean sweep, and it'll last half a day, and you'll drive through again, and you'll see all sorts of, shiny plastic and white pieces of litter from the squirrels. So if we can get something that has a top, it seals. Upgrading equipment, right, is kind of the last thing I'll talk about. That's just one example. So that's a 22-year-old mower that we've got to plow on to handle the snow at City Park, and it only does one thing. Right, it only kind of runs well enough to be a plow at this point. We couldn't put a mower deck on it, it's not worth it. But if we had something like a utility vehicle, it could be used at every park to haul trash, to patrol the trail to pick up litter, to get sticks, things like that, right? And then also plow. And I probably went too long anyway, but that's all I've got for tonight. I appreciate your patience. Thanks for your attention and listening. If you've had any questions for me tonight, I'd be glad to address them, or if you want to look me up, I'd like to talk anytime.
Thank you so much. I don't mind listening to all these wonderful plans, so thank you for taking the time to express them. If you get rid of the water fountain, it might be cool to have it at the Darton Gardens.
Okay.
Don't get rid of it.
Okay.
I can see it in the center of the garden or used as a bird, whatever.
It would make a good fountain.
Yeah.
Or a bird bath.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, and I do often see the guys with the horseshoes.
Okay, that's good to know.
And even if they maybe don't need the whole court, one of the things that several of us have talked about is having a bocce ball
Okay, yeah.
court would be cool. So, and I think for multi-generational things, that might be a really cool thing to have. So.
Okay. We can talk about
But
that.
everything looks exciting. Good luck, and we'll see you out there with our trees.
Right? Soon, probably.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tom.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, we have our second presentation of the night from the Elkins Depot Welcome Center and Elkins Randolph County Tourism CVP Director, Ann Beardsley.
In our office, we work as a team, and so I brought them all. We will not extend our presentation at all, but I'm all three of us, we're just all going to participate in the one small presentation that we have for you all. First of all, I'd like to say good evening. On behalf of
and recreation areas in Randolph County. Thank you.
Thank you, Sutton.
We want to recognize all our volunteers and board members for all they do. An impressive 201 and a half years of service have been dedicated to the Welcome Center since 2006 by only our current board members and volunteers.
I have a loud voice, so I shouldn't eat that too much. Creating engaging, visible social media content is the most crucial step to attract more visitors. Having open communication allows the future traveler to feel safe and welcome when visiting our area. Each week, our engagement and posts help drive traffic to our website. Through our combined efforts, we have seen a substantial increase in followers and visitation in 2021. We have over 13,000 followers across our social media platforms and reached over 2.4 million individuals on our posts, which is a 45% increase over last year. We have 8,300 email subscribers who receive a newsletter inviting them to visit us each month. Our website had over 320,000 page views last year. Merging our social media and tourism marketing has led to this success in our organization. Promoting Elkins and Randolph County as a year-round recreation destination has been a top priority for us. Throughout each season, we have made sure to strategically plan which magazine were the best fits for our print and digital advertisements. We advertised in 70 different publications, not including our creative marketing and press releases. We were recognized in several publications for free, including Southern Living as Best Mountain Town and Blue Ridge Outdoors as one of 10 biking destinations across the Blue Ridge. We also participated in the Department of Tourism 80-20 Match Cooperative Advertising Program, where we utilized our marketing money by only paying $4,500 for $22,500 worth of ads. Through our print and digital advertisements, we potentially reached 43.7 million people. Travel influencers. Who are they and why do they matter? Influencers have a strong impact on travelers because their content is genuine and trustworthy. They provide social proof for destinations and brands alike and confirm a brand's or location's credibility to potential guests. The scope of influencer marketing is growing, and studies show that younger generations put more of an importance on experiences. As such, these demographics are most likely to take trips and travel. For hospitality and tourism, this presents a giant opportunity to grow our industry with the help of influencers. In 2021, we hosted 3 influencers, 2 in connection with the West Virginia Tourism Office, and 1 who is writing about all 55 counties. We feel that these influencers bring a lot to our organization because they can promote our destination through their eyes, and we also end up appealing to a target audience that we might not normally reach.
This year, we saw in-person events take place again. We were happy to see the Our Town concerts and the Mountain State Street Machines bring locals and visitors to the town square. The Welcome Center remained open past normal operating hours the evening of the concerts to provide restrooms to the attendees. We recognize the importance of events such as these in not only bringing people to our area, but in also lifting community morale, and we try to support them however we can. Additionally, in November, I attended West Virginia's annual Hospitality University, where I heard our legislators speak on the importance of growing the tourism industry, and other speakers present on a variety of topics covering economic development, outdoor recreation, and diversity and inclusion. In January, Ann, Tara, and I attended Tourism Day at the legislature. We will continue to represent Elkins and Randolph County, whether in person or virtually, in 2022.
In an effort to increase collaboration and expand essential tourism markets in Randolph County, in 2021, we contributed almost $18,000 to organizations earmarked for marketing purposes. The CPP paid for the Durban and Greenbrier Valley Railroad and the Andy Dancer Theater to each attend 2 travel shows, and these were geared specifically to motor coaches, group tours, and tour group operators. We created and paid for an ad in American History Magazine and
multiple boards and committees we serve on, Elkins Randolph County Tourism is proud to be affiliated with leading organizations in our area. By partnering with these groups, we are better able to promote Randolph County locally, regionally, statewide, and beyond. Examples include our participation in the Hubcap program and the Monforest Towns Partnership to build our recreation economy, as well as our collaboration with CVBs and other entities throughout the Potomac Highlands region through the Creative Economy Initiative.
Work accomplished by the CVB literally affects an entire area. The people we attract to this region stay in hotels, they shop, they eat, they buy gas, partake in local events, visit museums, ride the trains, and enjoy the arts. But this is only the very beginning of the impact these people have on this community. Because of the influx of this money, businesses can maintain and hire additional workers. These workers can purchase clothing for their family, pay for groceries, go to the movies, shop locally, eat out, get paid to remodel their home, pay their mortgage, hire a plumber, and the list goes on and on. Each dollar that a visitor brings into Randolph County circulates 6 times before it leaves the region.
We have exciting things happening in 2022. Last weekend, we attended a travel show in DC where we spoke with an estimated 500 people, promoting Randolph County as a great getaway. Soon we'll be launching our Randolph County Passport program. Visitors will be able to pick up a passport at the Welcome Center with suggestions of places in our county to explore. And perhaps most exciting, the Ramps and Rail Festival is back. It will be held on Saturday, April 23rd, with a variety of food and craft vendors, live music playing at the Rotary Amphitheater, and trains pulling in and out of the depot. We are so ready to welcome festival goers back to Elkins to celebrate our culinary and railroad heritage, so mark your calendars.
This year, the state of West Virginia created an oversight committee to monitor the operation of CVBs to determine their ability to operate efficiently, budget appropriately, and to attract visitors from outside the 50-mile radius. The percentage overview that you see on the screen are now the requirements that we must meet to remain an accredited CVB. We will have no difficulty fulfilling all of the requirements that are being set by the state when we report to them in September of 2022, 90 days after the end of our fiscal year. Although we have worked hard to grow community and economic development, increase people's knowledge of Randolph County, and raise the number of visitors in our area each year, much of the credit needs to go to you in this room. Because of your contributions financially and moral support, we have been able to operate at a professional level that has allowed us to accomplish these goals. We have information here. This includes our annual report. It includes our newest brochures and information that would be important to all of you. My information is inside the front, and therefore you will be able to reach me if you have any questions or if you'd like to have any additional information. And we're willing to entertain questions if anyone has them now.
Are there any questions? If none, thank you, ladies. We appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing us to be here.
Okay, moving down to our committee reports. We'll start with Councilor Chenoweth.
Thank you, Mayor. Personnel Committee met in a special call meeting on February 28th. We discussed the compensation plan that Align HR had put forward. I didn't make any recommendations because some more information was needed from Align HR with respect to that. Discussed the longevity pay, what was formerly known as the Christmas bonus, and a way to improve that and make that copacetic, I guess, with the state auditor's office. So we made some recommendations with respect to that. I think that's coming back to Personnel Committee at the March 10th meeting, and that will probably, after that, come back to council at the meeting in March, next meeting in March. We discussed health insurance and the increase in the health insurance and how that will be handled within the city with respect to its employees. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later tonight. Other than that, that's my report, and our next meeting is March 10th at noon here at City Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Guy? No report. Thank you. Counselor Hinchman?
Finance had a special call meeting on February 24th, and we went over and had discussions about the sales of Elkins PD vehicles that we had discussed earlier, and we went over grants for the Comp House, and our next meeting is Monday, the 7th at 10.
Thank you. Counselor Friddle?
Thank you, Mayor. The Special Hiring Committee has concluded their work, and I'm pleased to welcome our new Operations Manager, Mr. Josh Sampson, tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. Counselor Higgins?
I have no report.
But you have a birthday tomorrow. so
I do.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Counselor Lowther?
No report. Parks will meet the 16th of March at 5 p.m. at the Phil Gaynor Center.
Thank you. Counselor Brosfer-Ganera?
The Rules and Ordinance Committee meeting that was scheduled for next week will be postponed until April. Marilyn Kwanzaa was out of town, so we just thought it would be best just to wait until the following month. The tree board, I'm reporting for her. We met this week. Lots and lots of activities, from planting trees downtown, Bluegrass Park, City Park. There's going to be 3 Arbor Day trees planted. It's just, we're going to have a very, very busy spring. We'll be posting those dates to everybody, so if anybody wants to show up with a shovel, that would be awesome. Our official Arbor Day celebration that we would love to have the mayor come to again is going to be Friday, April 29th at 2 o'clock at Glendale Park. So you are formally invited.
And you actually provided a shovel for me last year, so I appreciate that.
That was really fun. That was really a great day. And I just found out, looking at my mail just before the meeting started, the city of Elkins, for the 3rd year in a row, was certified with a growth award from the Tree City, the National Tree City organization. So I'm very excited about that. The Planning Commission will be meeting on the 9th at 4 p.m. Let's see, the 9th?
The 10th.
10th, excuse me. And hopefully we'll be reviewing the final draft and should come to you shortly. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Counselor Vest?
No report.
Thank you. Counselor Parker?
No report this evening, sir.
Really?
Get out of here.
I'm disappointed, Dave.
Yeah, the comedy
I look forward to the entertainment
next
every
meeting.
meeting, so thank you. Okay, down to our staff reports. We have our Chief Water Operator, Wes Lambert.
Good evening. I have a few updates to go over with y'all this evening.
That's it. Break it, Wes.
That's why we can't have nice things,
Yeah.
Wes.
Okay, last Tuesday, we completed the project on Wilson Lane. We abandoned the 24-inch water line. There was an 80-foot section of that was still live, and it didn't serve a purpose. So we abandoned that, and we put in the 3 taps, the 2-inch taps for that Firefly columns that's going in over there. So hopefully, our work is done over there. We received a valve maintenance trailer this week that was ordered back in November of 2021. During the training, we took that valve machine down on 11th Street, and there was a 12-inch valve down there that's been stuck for probably close to a year. And we put that machine on there, and the machine broke that valve loose in about 5 minutes. So that saved about $15,000. So I think it's going to pay for itself pretty fast. Yeah, I think it's going to pay for itself pretty fast. We have several valves like that in the system, and I'm confident that it'll break them loose. Right now, we're working on the essential inventory in both departments. That is things like chemicals, pipe, fittings, anything that we have to do our daily work with. And to be honest with you, unfortunately, we are experiencing price increases and shortages in a lot of things right now. For instance, bleach went up, in the last 6 months, it went up $1.50 on the gallon. And pipe, common size pipe, 4-inch C900 PVC pipe went up $7 per foot. So it's going up at a pace we are going to have a hard time keeping up with, to be honest with you. Some of the things that we're trying to order, we're being told that it's potentially 6 months out. So it's a real crisis, to be honest with you. And every water system in the United States is going through the same thing. So I'll continue to give you guys an update. Try to give you an update every time I'm here on, the shortages and things. We have 2 water technicians that are currently in Parkersburg this week. They're taking their WD course. So their test is tomorrow. So keep them in your prayers, wish them luck. I have faith in them. Got a good report back from Heather, which is the instructor down there, and she said they're doing great. They actually stayed over for a couple hours yesterday working on math. So I'm very proud of those boys. Last Wednesday, we had a sanitary survey. I don't know if you all have ever heard of that before, but it is a thorough inspection that happens every 3 years for the entire water system. It's conducted by the West Virginia Office of Environmental Health Services. It covers every component of the water system. And I'm pleased to report that we had no deficiencies noted on that sanitary survey. It's a very rare accomplishment, to be honest with you, because, as you all know, there's a lot of working parts to a water system. And I want to take this time to give a shout out to every one of the water system employees for this, because you all know one person can't do that. It takes every single person pulling together to accomplish something like that. So I want to give them a shout out. Yesterday we had a site visit at the flood control by the Army Corps of Engineers. Tom Brown, that we met with several months ago, brought some inspectors over. He also brought the colonel over, and they were just interested in our facility and how it works. They were very impressed. I was able to bring over our team and, explain to them how we've automated things, our maintenance program. So even though we have some work to do over there, they're very impressed with what we have. And they're also going to be doing some work over there. They have a branch at Stonewall Jackson Dam. They're actually going to have that group of guys come over and start work this summer on clearing all the debris on their property that runs parallel along the Taggart River. So, to my knowledge, they're going to bring in some heavy equipment and start very soon. So, looking forward to working with them. And that concludes my part of the report. Ben, would you like to come up? Yeah. Explain that.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. So I just wanted to give a presentation, demonstration of the City of Elkins water problem reporter application that myself, Wes, and Stokes have been collaborating on. This application will allow the public to report non-emergency water issues that Sutton has expressed that he sees a fair amount of comments on his Facebook posts with complaints about water quality issues of discoloration, odor, taste, things like that. So this will help us track all of that information, show some transparency and some accountability in dealing with those issues, and also hopefully down the line, once we get enough data in from the public, start to draw some analysis and trends to where some of these issues are happening. This application can be accessed on our City of Elkins GIS website, which you can find through the city's website. Just click on here. I'll just go through a little demonstration of how you would use this. So you would continue as a guest. And so these are some of my tests that I've been doing to make sure that it's all functional and everything. So you can see some different problems that have been reported here. Each problem receives a generated unique ID. So when a resident submits a problem, it's kind of like an order number. They're able to track it through its lifespan as well as personnel. So we'll go through here and submit a problem. This is something we collaborated on, finding some common water quality issues or things like that. So people can come in here and enter details. And give their contact information. And then they can have the option to type in their address or just click anywhere on the map, which is a pretty handy feature. So we'll just go over here, as well as attaching photos. That really helps with for these guys to understand what they're dealing with. So they can report the issue. We'll see it pop up here. So then once that's done, they will get a notification and be able to see their ID after 5 minutes. So then this is what Wes and his employees will see. This is a managing dashboard where they can go in and say that they've received this issue, assign it to some of their staff, and just do general comments. So when they click on the ID, they'll see where it's at, come in here and edit. They have the ability to turn off visibility if it's lewd or something of that nature, and then give the public an update about where they're at on addressing the issue, saying, yes, we have received this at this time, this is who it was received by, here's who we've assigned this task to. And then as it moves on, a resolution date and the details. Something else that they're able to do is add comments in here that the public can see. So if they want to say, in addition to the resolution, yes, we, just further examples for them to give some updates on where they're at fixing the issue or resolving the issue. But as they make changes in this dashboard, so does the reporter application itself. So any of those changes will be able to be seen by the public. This is where the public will do most of their interaction with this. Something else that is important to know is that the public can come in here and like and comment on a problem. So if they see that their neighbor is having a similar problem, what really helps us to make sure that they can go in and like and comment on a problem instead of just populating 50 of the same problem right along, right beside each other. And then the last thing, there's a couple layers to this onion. So this is where what I see. So once we have a lot of this data coming in, I'll be able to take all of these points and start to lay them across our water lines, and that'll just help us see some trends, hopefully, where some of these issues are happening. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Yeah. So when you were just saying, okay, somebody has a problem and then another member of the public can go in and like it, and that indicates to you that they're having the same problem? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
So how-
potentially.
Are they linking in with where their address is? Is that being sucked in magically?
Not just by liking, but they could comment that and say,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I mean, just because that's often a topic on our Weiss neighborhood Facebook page, where somebody will say, anybody else having brown water problems?
Sure.
And then we have ding, 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 you know,
Right.
all these people on there, which, you know, you can sort of indicate, oh, well, it's going down Buffalo Street, but, so this will work the same way, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, folks can come in here and comment on this particular issue, which is what I would encourage, is how they use this. If they are experiencing something if your neighbor is, or, somewhere along that.
Okay, and then, just as we all, whenever we're walking the neighborhood, we always get comments from
Sure,
constituents brought up to us. Should we let you know that so-and-so at blah, blah, blah is having water problems, or, I mean, how would?
You
No, I
should
would
direct them
encourage
to the
to use
resource.
this application, yeah.
Get them on the map.
Yeah. And that's.
Most of the people who stop me on the street because they're not savvy,
Well-
computer savvy. They'd much rather grab me walking the dog.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean, that is always an option, and that is always, and will continue to be an option for people to report their problems, This is,
Okay.
yeah.
They can still call in and report anything. They can call City Hall, they can call themselves, email.
Yeah.
But this will help narrow down a lot of the problems, as people seem to want to go with the digital type responses anymore for most things.
Yeah, and we can't, I mean, if they do call in, if someone calls into the operations department or calls Wes, and they relay that information to me, we can always come in here and manually enter
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
If I may, some of the discussions that we've had regarding this particular issue was the concern that if the complaint goes to the water department directly, oftentimes City Hall never knows there's an issue. So I thought we had agreed everything was going to go through, all the problem and complaints was going to go through operations, then be handed off to the water department. Am I incorrect in that?
I do think, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when someone submits a problem, there's going to be multiple, it'll go to, I don't know if it'll go to Wes's email or a setup email, and then also to copy to the operations department.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so the
they'll be
notification
aware.
process in this is set up to where it will send out an email notification with the problem ID and everything to myself, Wes, the mayor, I believe, decided to receive those emails, and the operations department.
Thank you.
Between, Shannon and Melanie. Yeah, so there will be continuity in that process.
And sir, if you want to receive the alerts as well, we can make sure that happens.
I think you can handle it quite adequately.
All right, I'm offering those. So.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Chief Bennett.
Council Mayor, good evening. In February, the Elkins Police Department responded to 399 calls for service, of which 29 cases were generated, along with 18 arrests and 17 citations issued. Our major crimes for February were assaults with 6 and drugs with 5. In other news, one of our new cruisers sustained $3,000 damage last week during a pursuit. Our man at the academy is still there. He's got about 1 month left, so be to get a new officer out of the academy pretty soon. That's always a good thing. And we got our radar sign that we had ordered probably 2 months ago, I would say. It came in a few days ago. We've got it charged up. It's out in the field in service now. We put it up on Boundary this evening. So if you drive through that way, go and look at it. It's a 15-mile-an-hour zone now, so go at least 25 so you can see the little red and blue lights flash out and stuff, but I did not tell you to do that. That's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
That is so crazy, because last night I was walking down the street, down Boundary, and I was going, I wonder whatever happened with the idea of having that radar sign up. So,
It'll be there when you go home.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Sampson.
Good evening, council. This is my first report out to you guys, so bear with me. Try not to eat me alive. So I first want to start off by commending all the people at the City Hall that work for the City of Elkins, people that's out on the front line, streets, water, sewer, sanitation, central garage. They've all been super inviting. I went and talked with all of them, and they've all, you know, said, please reach out if I need anything. So that's been super, you know, super inviting for myself. There's nothing better than having a family-oriented workplace to come to every morning. People say good morning, so I really appreciate that, you know, from the bottom of my heart, just for that, you know, that's really inviting, and I love coming to work every day for that reason. So I look forward to that. As far as the first report out, our auto auction, I wanted to give an update on that. Tomorrow by noon is when the proposals are due. We have 2 at the moment that's come in as far as auctions, auction holders. We do have 1 that's pending, so that'll come in tomorrow morning probably is what we're looking at, and then we'll make a decision from there. We have several autos and other equipment that's going to be on there as well, so be on the lookout for that. We're also working on budgets within all the operations departments, and also along with the compensation study. That's kept us really busy, along with all the other departments among, you know, the City of Elkins. As Wes said yesterday or earlier, that we met with flood control yesterday. After we got back, Tom Brown was gracious enough to sit with me for about 3 more hours, till about 3:30 yesterday. And he allowed me to pick his brain a little bit on flood control. He educated me really well on everything that he could tell me about, you know, the levee system, how it worked. Me being a Webster County boy, I didn't really know the ins and outs of it, but also now I do. So it's really nice to have that education in my back pocket now as far as when we move forward with Wes. Our next inspection on that system is May 10th. So he did say that it's going to be a multi-discipline inspection, so there's going to be about 5 or 6 different engineers that's coming to fully inspect everything. Unlike any other inspection, the yearly inspection is just one engineer coming and looking at all the you know, ins and outs of it. This time it's going to be 5 or 6 different engineers, so it's going to be looked at really heavily. They said if they have the financial budget, they would like to come and spend at least 2 days. They're going to camp out here if they can in a conference room. They would like to meet with operations, Wes, you know, any of the water folks or anybody that's willing to come in and listen to hammer out the details on what needs to happen as far as getting the levee system back up and back in good status. Currently it is not in good status. It's inactive. Just due to the repairs. There's a lot of U items, which is deficiencies, that needs to be worked on. So we're working on that. So I'm looking forward to this summer to see what Tom can bring to the surface with that 2-day report out. Just the last thing, I don't have very much for, especially my first weekend. So we did just hear from the gas company this evening, right before we come in, that they're going to be replacing around 500 feet of 6-inch gas line in an alleyway, a gravel alleyway between Center Street and Delaware Avenue. They're gonna be going door to door tomorrow with citizens in that area to let them know what's gonna be happening. But they're gonna start breaking ground Monday or Tuesday. So they said that a lot of times they have that metal pipe in there that they really wanna replace with the plastic. So they're trying to get that knocked out, and then there's gonna be bigger jobs this summer coming. So they said they would really stay in contact with that, so. Is there any questions?
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, I appreciate you guys.
Ms. Judy?
I'll not touch that. I'll just stand on my toes. Been a busy week. On Monday, I attended virtually the state auditor's training. One thing that I did find out that will affect us potentially. All political subdivisions shall offer a system with an online presence for acceptance of payments that will allow persons to submit payments to the political subdivisions electronically. This has to be done no later than March 1st, 2023. I have emailed Mr. Triplett at the State Treasurer's Office to find out if everything, because that's what I was told in the auditor's training, if any payment we take has to have online capabilities. Right now, we have basically utilities, fire fees. There's probably at least 10 other payments that we take, but we can't take them online. So trying to get that clarification, but every municipality, doesn't matter how small they are, there was a lot of comments about that in the training, but that is, drop dead date is March 1st, 2023 to have that done. So we'll probably be looking at, I've asked also if he could provide some vendors. They had stated that maybe the state would be willing to work with municipalities to get vendors in to help with that. The auditors finished today their on-site testing and will complete their audit within the next couple weeks. It is due to be submitted to the state auditor by March the 24th, as well to the federal clearinghouse due to us spending over $750,000 in federal funds. On February 23rd, I had a budget workshop. Approximately 10 general fund employees and a counselor attended, and we'll continue to work with everyone, as we know that it's budget season within the next couple weeks. Also today, I sent out an RFP for our property and casualty insurance. It was sent to the Intermountain and the Charleston Gazette for publication on March the 5th and March the 12th. Bids will be due by 2 o'clock on Friday, April 15th. And then just finally, as I said, we'll continue to work on budgets, the fuel card implementation, and fire and police pension valuation data request has come in as well. So that's what we're working on. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
As far as the requirement that we accept these things online, is that state code, or is that the auditor making a decision?
It's the state treasurer's office making that decision.
The state treasurer's office makes a decision.
Yeah, online.
Are they allocating money to help us pay for this?
That was not mentioned in there, no, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
And you did say all political subdivisions, which would also include
Counties as well.
counties.
Yes, that is correct.
And I can tell you, it's unusual that counties take any electronic payments.
That's exactly right.
It's cash or checks. That's been my experience in the counties I travel to.
Yes.
So it's going to be not just cities, I guess.
That's correct, yes.
My understanding is they can still take cash and checks, but you have to give them the option to be able to pay online is what they're looking at. Is that correct?
That's how I understand it, yes,
Thank you.
sir. All right.
So they can't just use PayPal, Venmo, or something like that? It would go through our website?
I mean, the way we have the utility bills and fire fees, there's a link into our website that's done by a third-party vendor, but it's still a lot of gray area right now. I don't know, the way our third party operates with our software, when a payment comes in, it goes straight into that specific account number. That's going to be a little different with some other things that we're talking about, because you're looking at, like for parks, for pavilion rentals, you're looking at
Building permits,
parking,
business license.
Yeah.
B&O taxes?
Yeah. So it's, there's a lot, like I said, I don't have a response yet back from the state, but trying to get as much information as I can so we can get going on it.
Just a quick question for our city attorney. Does the state treasurer's office have the authority to do something like this without state code?
I have no idea. But they have a lot of leeway. They have their own, they have regulations that get promoted through, the usual system of, the rules and regulations that get published. This is first I've heard of it, what Tracy said this evening. I have no idea. And I'm kind of interested, and I'll reach out to someone at the municipal league to get some more information about it. It's the first I've heard of it. But there's a lot of leeway with statewide office holders. I just don't know what the origination of this type of power would be.
I'll give you the paper that was
That you got
provided
at
to
the
us,
auditor's
on the-
training?
Yes.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Himes.
Okay. Month of February, 42 calls for service that month, 4 building fires, 5 if you count the mobile home, 15 motor vehicle accidents, tractor trailer fire that I ducked out of council early on 2 weeks ago. The one thing that I do want to speak about from last month's statistics was the fire we had Friday night that the mayor received an email, and then everybody else received it subsequently. Everybody's feedback was very much appreciated. I can assure you that the guys try to do that every time we go out the door, and it's not very often that you do get that feedback from the customer. So people look at me like I'm crazy when I use that word, but everybody's been to a restaurant, had their steak overcooked, or not got their order right, and we kind of hinge on doing things right. So the feedback was very, very much appreciated. The guys have all been kept in the loop. You have a bulletin board at the station currently occupied. So anybody have any questions for me tonight?
No questions, but the comment is that it was well received, and well earned. I mean, like I said, I appreciated finally getting an email that was complimenting our staff on that. Like I said, that's why I wanted to share it with council as well as you and your staff. Like I said, and kudos to you. Like I said, I do think it comes down to your training regimen that you have and the fact that you have them prepared and you lead by example.
Well, it was the first time in 31 years I'd ever had to use a 14-foot ladder in somebody's living room, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Ms. Sutton.
Just one quick announcement. The ad hoc ARPA Advisory Committee meeting that committee is meeting both next week on the 10th at 1 o'clock, I think. Sorry. And the purpose of that meeting is to discuss 3 particular items that are outside of the community requests that we've been receiving. Those were all due. I believe there were 23 total submitted. I haven't had a chance to read through them yet, but those submissions will be reviewed at the following meeting, which is scheduled for March the 22nd at 1 o'clock. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Just real briefly, shortly before the meeting this evening, I received an email from the Municipal League giving an update. Earlier this week was the crossover day, which is the day that if a bill initiates in one house or the other, it's got to get to the other house before that day is over, so that the other house, either the Senate or the House of Delegates, will have the opportunity to review it and act on it or not act on it. I put at your place this evening something called a personalized bill tracking list. This is a list of all the bills that have been introduced and the current status of them that would, in one way or another, impact municipalities. It's a long list. If you are really interested in reading the actual text of the bill, you can go to the West Virginia Legislature's website. There is a link at the top that says Bill Status. You click on that, you type in the number of the bill, it'll bring up the entire text of the bill and the history of the bill and anything else. The committee it's currently in and who the members of the committee are, you can find out and whatever. The two bills that the league is concerned about that would potentially impact the cities in a perhaps an adverse way. One of them is Senate Bill 71. It would prohibit municipalities for enacting certain kinds of ordinances. I would really suggest that would be a bill to take a look at. I'm happy, I've downloaded, I'm happy to email it to everybody if you'd like. It would really regulate a lot of things that I'm not really sure what the purpose of the bill is, actually, although it would, it certainly could prohibit this city or any city from enacting certain kinds of ordinances.
Does it describe what kind?
Yes, it's very specific. And what I'll do is, after the meeting, I've downloaded it, so I'll send you the text of that. I didn't want to bother printing it out, and, you know, you can certainly look at it. But it is now in the House Judiciary Committee. I don't know what the schedule is unless, it may be on your personalized list to tell you when it's going to be next taken up. So it's the type of bill that unfortunately will restrict what municipalities can do and what a local government that really kind of knows the best that might work in their situation would not be able to do. It is still a bill. It originated in the Senate and it is now, as I said, in the House. The other bill that could adversely affect cities, municipalities, it's House Bill 4553, and it would say that if you had something that is defined in the bill as a wholesale electric generator, they have to be allowed in every zoning district within your city, whether it's residential, you know, single family, multifamily, everywhere. There'll be no place within your city, if you have a zoning ordinance, that won't allow this electric generating facility. Now, it's not at a power company. It is specific in the bill that we're not talking about, for instance, First Energy, but any other kind of electric generating. So it would not allow a city to have anything in their zoning that would prohibit you from, you know, it's the kind of thing you might allow in a commercial or industrial, but it's not going to let you prohibit it in a residential area or educational area, or whatever your zonings are. So I will send both of those bills to everyone on council so you can take a look at them. There's 1 week left, basically, of the session. The last day, it's 60 days. It will be over on midnight, Saturday, March the 12th. So there'll be lots of activities in the next week. They'll be very busy. And so kind of keep your eye out about some things. The two bills that are still active and will be very beneficial for the cities if they do get passed and get to that point. One is the bill that the auditor came and spoke to several folks here at the city and at the county level that has to do with restructuring the timeline for tax sales for delinquent taxes and how that would impact dilapidated properties. It's extensive. It's about a 50-page bill, if I remember correctly. It is a total overhaul of how that delinquent tax sales works now. And if it passes, it was a bill that was introduced in the House by the House Speaker and in the Senate by the Senate President. It has this is talking about the Senate bill, which is 552, but it has a similar bill in the House. So hopefully that will get through, and I think it'll help a lot of cities with regard to delinquent sales with regard to real estate and how it impacts dilapidated properties. The other bill that is beneficial for communities, we probably don't think about it as much here because this is not really a coal field area, but it is a House Bill 4479 that's going to establish a Coalfield Community Grant Facilitator Commission. There will actually be a commission that will help fund programs within particularly coalfield communities. Although my quick reading of the bill, I think that it's going to impact a lot of communities, but we traditionally think in West Virginia of coalfield communities being more south of Route 60, you know, Logan, McDowell, whatever. So those are two bills that are out there. As I said, this list is very interesting, and get on the legislative website. You can click on and you can look at everything that's going on about these bills. But I will email you the two bills that I think will be very would be very instructive as to what your position might be as far as what cities can and can't do.
Is House Bill 4567 relating to the B&O?
Can you use your microphone, please?
The HB 4567 relating to business and occupation tax, is that the same thing that we were concerned about?
It was, but what they did is, unless it's been amended again, what happened is, it was dealing with all kinds of B&O tax. They knocked all of that
So now
out, and
it's
it's
just
only
like
going to
new
be
cars?
new car sales. The
didn't know if
B&O tax a dealer would pay, and we don't have a new car dealer within the city limits. But as I pointed out, the concern is once you start
Right.
kind of nibbling away at that,
Right.
what's going to happen the next time. But it does impact many cities that do have new car dealers within their corporate limits. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email, but I will send you those two bills to take a look at that are going to be taken up between now and next Saturday. There'll be lots going on. I mean, there'll be things going on till midnight next Saturday, the 12th, so
I
stay
might just
tuned.
make an observation, if I may, Mayor, but the Development Authority is in the process right now of applying for funding through a coalfields development program.
Right.
So we are considered.
Yeah, I believe that
coalfield
every
area.
community is available. We just don't traditionally think of Randolph County as one of them. You think of Logan and McDowell and whatever. But this legislation will set up this entire commission, and it has Development Authority people on it, representatives, small cities, big cities. It's got a whole list of whatever. So I think it looks like a really good commission that'll be most helpful if it gets passed. So hopefully it stays on track.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of vendor invoice payments. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I move we pay the AP.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under new business, ordinance 296, an ordinance of the City of Elkins, West Virginia, to amend and revise Elkins City Code, Section 92.002, fire seasons, outdoor fires. This is a second and final reading. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
Motion to accept.
Okay, we have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Ordinance 297, an ordinance of the Common Council of Elkins, West Virginia, pursuant to the petition filed by Robert L. Morris, Jr., Executive Director, on behalf of the Randolph County Development Authority regarding certain tracts of real property in Leadville District, Randolph County, owned by Randolph County Development Authority and known and identified as Area 1 and Area 2 on the attached plat, to incorporate and annex such property into the City of Elkins pursuant to West Virginia Code Section 8-6-4. This is the first of two readings.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a quick question of our council?
Yes.
Since I'm a member of the Randolph County Development Authority, am I allowed to vote on this?
I think it would be an opportunity for you to abstain in light of the position you have with the Development
Thank you.
Authority.
Thank you, sir. Looking for a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries, and I get to read that at the next meeting, too, so yeah. That's a long one. Resolution 1498, authorizing application and acceptance of various grants for the benefit of the Kump Education Center. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
I so move.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion?
I should probably abstain from voting as well
Okay.
on this issue.
Any other comments? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1499, authorizing the disposition of Elkins Police Department vehicles. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Any comments or discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, is this for the auction, or are we going to be helping the sheriff's department out?
This is for donating the two 2013 Interceptors to the sheriff's department.
Gotcha.
Any other comments or questions? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 1500, accepting conditions of a lease between the Elkins Historic Landmarks Commission and the City of Elkins and authorizing execution of agreement.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we go into executive session to discuss real estate, please.
Okay, we have a motion. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Yes, comment. I'm going to recuse myself from voting and very likely executive session tonight, since my wife is on the commission.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, it is 8:37, and we are entering an executive session.
And we'd like to have the city attorney as well as the city clerk.